What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
Just because of the holidays, don't forget the most charismatic man. Thanks for having me again, bro.
My man. So we've got an unfortunate quick take and situation that we're going to talk about today. So we've got an article courtesy of the Hollywood Reporter, which says Jonathan Majors found guilty of assault and harassment. The article goes on to say that a New York jury found Marvel actor Jonathan Majors guilty of reckless assault in the third degree and guilty of harassment. It says the verdict was reached by a six-person jury after roughly over 4 hours of deliberation spread across 3 days. Jonathan Majors, wearing a gray suit and a black dress shirt and tie, sat with his attorneys, with family members, and his girlfriend, Megan Good, behind him as the verdict was read. Sentencing is set for February 6th. The charges carry a sentence of up to 1 year in prison. It says he was not found guilty of intentional assault in the third degree and not guilty of aggravated assault or aggravated harassment in second degree. It says Majors faced 4 charges of assault, aggravated harassment, and harassment after he called 911 on March 25th when he said he found his ex-partner Grace Jabbari unconscious in their apartment. Police arrested Majors after finding apparent injuries on Jabbari, including a laceration behind her ear and a bruised and fractured finger. Majors pleaded not guilty to all charges. It says Jabbari, who took the witness stand for the first 4 days of the trial, said Majors had caused the injuries during an altercation in the car several hours before. She testified that the alleged incident occurred in a private car when she saw a text on Majors' phone that read, "Oh, how I wish I was kissing you." Jabbari has said she tried to snatch the phone from Majors, who then pried her finger from the phone, grabbed her arm and right hand, twisted her forearm, and struck her head to get the phone away from her. The first 3 charges are misdemeanor offenses and related to alleged incidents in the car. The 4th charge of harassment, which is a violation, the most minor offense among the charges, relates to an allegation that Majors threw Jabbari back into the car as she tried to exit. The defense alleged that he placed her back in the car to stop her from running into traffic. That action is captured on surveillance video, while the altercation inside the car was not captured on camera. It says the charges against Majors were brought by the state of New York rather than by Jabbari herself. The case was a criminal trial rather than civil, meaning the burden of proof is higher for the jury, who had to find proof of guilty beyond a reasonable doubt on each charge. And I just want to read where it says, in a statement after the verdict, Ross Kramer, an attorney for Jabbari, said they were gratified by the guilty verdict and hope it inspires other victims of assault. Yeah, right. Yeah. We are gratified to see justice served by today's guilty verdict, the statement read. Ms. Jabbari testified publicly and truthfully. Even though reliving these traumatic events on the witness stand was obviously painful, we are grateful to the jurors and the judge for their attention and patience, and to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office for their hard work and support. It says Ms. Jabbari's resolve to see this case through to the end demonstrates her tremendous strength and resilience. Unfortunately, for every survivor like Ms. Jabbari who comes forward to hold their abuser accountable, there are many others who believe that they cannot. We hope that her actions will inspire other survivors to speak their truth and seek justice, Kramer's statement added. Now, we talked about this pretty much at the forefront of this whole entire thing. What are your thoughts on this whole situation, bro? And the verdict itself?
Yeah, let's switch it up. What is your opinion?
Ah, man. So, for me, right, I got brought up to speed a few days ago when I got a chance to see the surveillance footage. I got a chance to hear some of the evidence that, you know, his ex-girlfriend presented in court, where she put out like recordings of things that Jonathan was saying to her during their relationship. And one of them in particular was him telling her that she should be acting or conduct herself more like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama and all this other types of stuff, and how he's an important person, and that, you know, if she continues to do the things that she's doing, then it would prevent him from, you know, contributing to the world as he does. Now, my ultimate takeaway from this whole trial and my thoughts on the verdict is this, man. clearly Jonathan Majors is not a saint. None of us are. Okay. Every guy has done his fair share of dumb shit in relationships with women. Okay. I've done things that I wouldn't do, now. And Jonathan Majors clearly, has done things that I know he regrets today. However, I think it's unfortunate because Jonathan Majors being found guilty had little to do with what actually happened in the car that day and why they ended up calling the cops, and had everything to do with the fact that he is a black man who was dating a white girl, decided to move on. She couldn't deal with it. So the way that she dealt with it was by trying to tear his life down and his career down. Mind you, he met her on the set of Ant-Man last year or 2 years ago. So he met the worst person he could have ever met in life on the set of the biggest film of his career. Now that says a lot. And I've always quoted this proverb which says, do not waste your vigor and strength on women who only seek to destroy kings. I'm not a Christian, but I love that proverb because it is true. A woman usually will always be a man's downfall. It is rare that a woman will be in your life and be there to build you up to your highest point, to help you reach the pinnacle of who you could be as a man. That is very rare. Grace Jabari is a pure example of a woman who, again, when she does not get her way, she's going to just tear down the ship if she has to. So she's looking at it like, all right, well, if I can't have him, nobody else can, and it's not fair at the end of the day, because the evidence that she was presenting was just like evidence of stuff that happened before, not anything that happened that day. How was it that, all right, she saw a text on his phone from another woman, all right? She tried to grab his personal property from him. He did what he had to do, which is using non-lethal force, all right, because her life wasn't in danger, to get his own personal property back. And then once he got it back from her, he was trying to make sure that he could get away from her safely. She chased this man down the street. Street in moving traffic. Who is the aggressor here? Who, in my opinion, is really the victim? All right, fine. He was cheating on you. He is wrong for that. But that does not mean you have the right to take his, property from him. All right. It doesn't give you the right to chase him, to solicit random white boys on the street to get into it with him. You were following him. Since when do women who are victims of domestic violence chase their freaking assailant, their abuser? That makes no sense. So when I saw these things the other day, I was like, yo, what's to deliberate? I'm no detective. I'm no politician, but it doesn't take me to, to be those things for me to put one on one together myself. It's pretty obvious what this situation is. She found out, that he was cheating, on her. Okay, so then they broke up as a result of that because he didn't want to be with her anymore. Maybe for all we know, that woman that was texting him was making good because he's with her right now. She couldn't deal with that. Wow, this successful black man is leaving me, a white girl, for a black girl. She couldn't deal with it. She could not deal with it. And in this day and age now, if a woman accuses you of physical assault, harassment, domestic violence, and all of that, you are guilty, even if you are proven innocent. Yep. Even if you are proven innocent. And then in this case scenario, you got a black man versus a white woman. We know how those situations go in America. This old man's freaking career's down the drain because they're going to recast Kang now. They were already going to recast it before. So they're going to recast this shit now. That movie where he was supposed to portray a freaking bodybuilder, Magazine Dreams, that movie ain't coming out. That movie was supposed to be out right now. That movie is not coming out. We don't know. He got dropped from his management company. His publicist dropped him. All of that. So and then now, of course, she's going to use the word gratified. She is so grateful for a freaking political system that is going to look out for her best interest no matter what, based on her skin color and her gender on top of that. Because we know we live in a matriarchal, gynocentric society right now. So despite the blatant obvious, I was cheating on her, I don't want to be with her anymore, I'm trying to move on. Now she's saying I'm this whole physical abuser. She was recording this man the whole entire time, way before the fact. So she's been setting it up from jump. So what I want men to really take away from this whole thing is we have to really watch out with how we deal with women. You either treat her with respect and all that shit, don't abuse them, don't do nothing, or leave them alone. Leave them alone. Let cooler heads prevail, because it's the same chick that's telling you that she loves you last week. It's going to be the same chick that's trying to put you in jail next week, a month from now, a year from now. And when you're somebody like Jonathan Majors, you cannot sacrifice everything that you have to gain over a girl. Over a girl. A white girl at that. A white girl at that. This is like shit. This is like some fucking what's that shit? Emmett Till or some shit like that. Like the black kid who got accused by that white girl that he was, sexually, harassing her, or he assaulted her, or tried to do something to her, and then they killed him. They killed him. And I'm not saying again that I agree with certain things that Jonathan Majors did, but first of all, for everybody listening, listen to the audio recording where he was mentioning Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama and all of that. He was telling her he prefaced that whole statement by saying, bro, you coming in here drunk, disturbing the peace of our house, you need to conduct yourself like these women. Now, my thing is this. If you wanted a woman that was going to conduct herself like Coretta Scott King, who is black, Michelle Obama, who is black, you were better off just being with Megan Good in the first place, so that we would still have Jonathan Majors in freaking Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. All of that is out the window over her. And we don't know. Well, honestly, all right, Jonathan Majors has a lot of money, so I don't think he's actually going to go to jail. But why I'm upset is because everyone knows the trajectory of this man's career, where he was headed, that upper echelon, that you don't see a lot of black actors reach that quickly. And all of that is out the window. It's gone over, pardon my French, but a bitch. Seriously, it's just like, yo. And then on top of that, he's 33, 34 years old, however old he is. So, I hate to see it. You know what I'm saying? And this just goes to show men, black men. I don't care about other men out here, because I bet you if it was a white guy, he would have been fine. He would have been fine. He would have been absolved, all of that. If this was Tom Holland or some shit, whatever, he would not be found guilty right now. They would have been like, he's acquitted on all charges, will serve probation and all of that. He would have still been in the MCU, nothing to worry about. But when it's Jonathan Majors, it's a wrap. It's dubs. He might can get in some indie films and probably some smaller scale films now, but I don't think, and I remember this is something that you said before, but it's true. I don't think, it's definitely true now, I don't think he will reach that same echelon ever again. No. Because, especially now, it's like to get a role as the villain in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, in like a superhero film, that's a big deal. And pretty much that's kind of like the cream of the crop. A lot of actors, if they could, they would just get, cast in a superhero film franchise. They don't really have to work that much, because now they know, all right, I'm doing this film, and then that's going to pay me 6 to 7 figures. Then I'm going to do another film that's going to pay me another 6 or 7 figures, and then another film down the line. So you have guaranteed work. You have guaranteed work. And the way Kevin Feige was talking about Jonathan Majors, he was like, yo, Kang wasn't even in the plan, but because I love his talent and I love working with him so much, we literally just wrote him into phase 5, phase 6, because they rocked with him that much. Like, literally tailor-made for him. Like, yo, we gave him his own movie where he's playing 5 different versions of himself. That movie is going to be all Jonathan Majors. You know how much money he was going to make from that?
No.
You know how much money he was going to make from Kang Dynasty and Secret freaking Wars? Because I'm pretty sure how it was probably going to be like Kang Dynasty, his variants are the bad guy. And then in Secret Wars, the Kang the Conqueror that we saw in Ant-Man was going to help the Avengers in Secret Wars, probably. Some shit like that. Because Kang the Conqueror is not on the same side as his other Kang variants. So it's not worth it. That's what I'm saying. Problems with women are not worth it. If you listen to our original quick take before when we talked about this shit, I said it's not worth it. Like, it is not worth it. It's like the minute some chick is creating drama and in my life and turmoil and all of that, she gotta go. She gotta go. I'm not gonna have some chick get me angry, get me, acting out, getting out of character, and then meanwhile, she's saving all my texts. She's saving got a whole personal archive of all my texts. and where I was talking shit and all of that, so that she could use that as evidence to back up the fact that I did something to her that I didn't do. And then if I did it at all, it was just to get my own personal property back from you because you were the driver was the one that was like, yo, he was like, she was doing everything. That's what the driver said. And frankly, he was the only one that was there. His opinion is all that matters because it corroborates everything that Jonathan Majors was saying or his attorney was saying to defend him. He said she was doing everything. I'm like, I don't want some irate chick following me. If the cat's out of the bag, there ain't nothing to talk about no more. Yes, I was cheating on you. So now I want to go. And then I'm literally, this man is jogging. And then she's literally chasing this man. You know what I said when all of that happened? I was like, y'all would have left that bitch in the dust. That bitch, y'all, I would have been looking like Usain Bolt right after that. I'm like, as soon as I got away, I'm booking it. I'm booking it. My freaking, 6:15, 6:30 mile, I would have kicked that into high gear. I would have kicked that into high gear. So you wouldn't even have seen me and her in the same frame. So they checked the surveillance. I'm like, yo, where was he? I was out. That's where I was. I was gone. Changed some locks, changed my phone number, changed all of that. So what I'm saying is this. This says a lot about the America that we're living in today. And again, y'all listening to this, you can look at my channel. I'm very critical of America and the way that it deals with black men and women and children and elderly today. All right. And we're still living in that society now. We're still living in that society because, again, best and believe, if this was a famous white actor, if this was Tom Holland and he and Zendaya got into it, nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. His role as Spider-Man would not have been in jeopardy. Would not have been in jeopardy. And what's funny, every time I see ABC, Good Morning America, they all reporting on this, they're like, oh yeah, so we're here reporting live about the Jonathan Majors case, and we're all waiting to see the future of Jonathan Majors' career. The future of Jonathan Majors' career is done. It's done, at least not as we knew it. Not as we knew it. He will still have a career. He will still act. I'm pretty sure he will, but it's not going to be the same. His stock, he's going to be regressed back into that area that he was at before. So you're not going to see any more devotions. You're not, honestly, I'd be surprised if Jonathan Majors put him in Creed 4. I'd be surprised. I would be very shocked if he recast him as, Dame Anderson or Anderson Dame freaking in the next Creed. You know what I'm saying? Freaking, again, Marvel, that's out the window. Magazine Dreams, Disney, they're going to scrap that. They're going to scrap that. So, it is what it is. But see, it's his fault too. Because if he wasn't doing things behind closed doors, then none of this shit would have happened, period. Nothing would have happened, period. The reason why he was found guilty was because she used shit that happened in the past to substantiate her accusations of what happened that day. Even if he didn't punch her in the face or he didn't do anything crazy, everything he did in the past was enough to label him as a domestic abuser. Because all the receipts that she kept, the jury and the judge, they were able to connect the dots for themselves. That's how she did it. So it's not even just because, not only because he's a black man and that's why he's guilty, that's part of it, but we also have to hold Jonathan Majors accountable because of what you were doing behind closed doors. As a father of one or two, and you were age 34, you're in your 30s, and you're still conducting yourself that way, and then you don't know that text messages, voicemails, shit that you do even in person can be used against you in the future. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, look, I know it's completely unrelated, but look at the whole Rico case with Young Thug. They're using text messages and his lyrics and all that to convict. So yeah, like you said, Jonathan, we said this before. He isn't completely innocent.
He's not.
He's not this R. Kelly, P. Diddy figure that deserves to be slandered. Nah, he made some critical mistakes, and yeah, he should have been criticized for him. But I don't think he deserved to be found guilty. But like you said,
we have to hold him accountable.
And this is the thing for men too. If y'all gonna be in these relationships, you better pull those receipts, because that's why Johnny Depp was able to hold the candle in court. Because if he had no evidence, it was a wrap for him too. But like you
Yeah.
said, it was a little different because he's a white man. But
Exactly.
even if,
Exactly. See, because it's not like he didn't have receipts too. The receipts was really the surveillance footage of him running away for his own personal safety and well-being. He ran away, and she was the aggressor. The driver, the Uber driver, was saying she did everything. He didn't see Jonathan Majors do anything but try to shove her in the car just to get away from her.
right,
Non-lethal force. If her finger got fractured in the process, well, maybe you shouldn't have been, trying to grab his personal property. And
right.
again, that's still not enough. So accountability has to be dished out to Jonathan and other guys. Like if you were acting a fool behind the scenes, I can't really defend you because I wouldn't even have done that. I would not have done that. Because if I see some chick, we're living together and we're in our 30s, I don't know how old she is, and you're still coming home drunk, and then I gotta sit there and ask you to be something that you're not, I'm not gonna be with you. Because that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to mention Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King to try to get her to be somebody that she wasn't. So if I have to ask you to be a great woman, then clearly that's not what you are. If I got to ask you to do that. So I'm just going to leave you. And
Right.
he didn't do it. He didn't do it. The minute, like, this is my thing, the minute law enforcement, hospital, yelling at the top of our lungs, her passing out in my closet, all laid up. I gotta call the cops to come check you out and the ambulances and all of that because you doing this to me. That's already past the point of no return, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what Will Smith says in Hitch that I love? You know what he says to Eva Mendes? He says, "I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like to get involved past a certain point, and that point was about a week ago." That's a fact. That is a fact. I don't want to get involved past a certain point because once you get to that point, you're in like uncharted territory, and then anything can happen at that point. And it's like, I don't want to be around somebody or in a relationship that I don't know what it or they are capable of. I should feel like, all right, even if she gets mad at me, I know her yelling at me or cursing me out or saying something or doing something wild is not on the table for her because even in the heat of the moment, I can still vouch for her character. I see him, it's like, nah. So it's just like a toxicity that was going on between the two of them. So really, if she got her finger fractured and he was doing all of this, well, she's a grown ass adult. She should have walked away. If he saw she was doing all of this, doing this and that, he should have walked away. So what happened is really both of their faults, in my opinion. That's if I was a judge, that's what I would have said. I would have been like, well, you two are adults. So why you're even here is beyond me. I would have been like, Grace, you knew he was an abuser. Why didn't you leave?
Yeah.
Why didn't you leave? Jonathan, you knew she's white. She's not Michelle Obama. She's not Coretta Scott King. Why didn't you just break up with her in that moment and say, you keep coming home drunk, disturbing the sanctity of our house and shit like that? So why didn't you just say, you know what? I don't have time for this. I'm going to go find, my Coretta Scott King, my Michelle Obama, and somebody else, preferably a black woman, which he ended up doing anyway, which is what he should have done in the first place. So it's their fault. It's like, remember when we talked about Jonah Hill and his ex-girlfriend? What did I say? I was like, you get to a certain point in life, or at least a certain point in age, where you get tired of playing games. Like, it's just either we get along or we don't. I'm not going to sit there and keep going back and forth with somebody that doesn't even have the maturity to walk away if they feel like I'm not the one for them. Also, they're going to just sit there in misery dealing with somebody that they know they don't like. You know what I'm saying? Just to say what? Just to get what at the end of the day? More trouble? More drama? I'm not doing that. So that's really the adult perspective that really everybody needs to have as it relates to this whole situation, period. Which is, these are two grown ass adults that were irresponsible. Period. They were irresponsible. Jonathan Majors was irresponsible, immature. She was irresponsible and immature. You niggas are in your 30s. So if a man is cheating on you, what's to talk about? Oh, so you gonna grab his phone? What you gonna read it? Is that gonna make you feel any better about what happened? What's going on? about the cat being out of the bag. I don't understand. Like, I would ask her, like, so what were you trying to accomplish by grabbing his phone? What was your intentions? What was the end goal in doing that? Oh, so you can read it. So what were you going to do after that? So let's say if he gave her the phone, like, all right, read it, knock yourself out. I mean, he's rich. He could have just bought 5 iPhones right after that. I would have locked it. Have at it. I'm just gonna buy me another one, and then I'm gonna tell the police that you stole my phone if you don't give it back. So what you want to do? What are we doing here? And even in that, really, and that's what's funny, because he was the one that called the cops that day.
Right.
If the timeline, if I got the timeline correct, because wasn't it that whole thing happened? He ran away from her. She went to the club that night. When he came home, he found her all screwed up in his closet, laid up on the floor, because he was the one that called the cops, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
Because when he left the car, he didn't stop to call the police. No, he ran away. They separated. She went to the club, all of that. Passed out in his closet. He called the police officer. Pretty sure he probably was like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to be together anymore. Yes, I was cheating on you. That's it. You're going to have to move out. Then she came out with the allegations. So doesn't that really say who she really is? Really, if that's the case? Because let's say if you was like, yeah, you know, baby, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been cheating on you. That's just what it is. Right? And he wanted to stay with her. Do you think she would have went to the police and said that he put hands on her and he did this and that?
Right.
Because like you said, yo, when she saw those texts, her livelihood flashed before her eyes, because she got competition now. She was living with Jonathan. She was living with him. So if there's another woman in the equation, and he might just break up with me one day, so she had to try to avert that from happening by acting a fool.
Yep.
So, like I said, let's just be mature here. You know, at the end of the day, and it's sad that a jury of 6 people couldn't even connect the dots for themselves, because frankly, I don't know what it's called in court, but yeah, I would have dismissed it. It would have got dismissed. I'm just saying, 2, grown ass, adults still acting like they in their early 20s, pretty much still living at their 20s, basically. So, go ahead.
Yeah. I'll say this, because I watch a lot of shows. One actual live police show. I don't know if you ever watch Live PD, and I've watched a lot of domestic violence take place on that show. And men will come out, bruised up, scratched, and if the girl got one scratch on, he goes to jail. That's the bottom line. And this is why I say, for men, Johnny Depp he had evidence. That's the reason why he was able to live through that court, because he had video evidence, he had voice evidence, he had message, he had those receipts. And Jonathan, unfortunately, came into court with just a reputation, but he didn't come in with any type of evidence. And we all know, when it comes to domestic violence, men are proven guilty.
Jonathan didn't have any evidence?
He didn't. Besides that running video, he didn't have any messages or
because he thought he was having a genuine relationship with a girl that, I'm not keeping texts, I'm not secretly recording her, because most guys, and it's true, we enter relationships with the best of intentions, with like a clear conscience. We're not the ones that, like, you get into an argument with your girl, something like that, and then she's constantly sending you screenshots of some shit that you said months ago, years ago, because she just keeps everything just to have a paper trail, just in case some shit pops off with you.
No, you're right.
And it was funny. This is why I feel like Jonathan Majors is really innocent, because he feels the same way that I do. He didn't even testify in court. He was like, this whole thing speaks for itself. He said the surveillance speaks for itself. This situation speaks for itself. What do I have to say? Y'all have everything right here in front of you. Because they said that they said it was odd that he didn't take the stand and testify on anything. She was the one that was, all up there, tears and all of that. I'll quote Shakespeare. He said, I'll quote Othello, because he said, if that the earth could teem with women's tears, each drop she falls would prove a crocodile. That is a fact. Yep. That is a fact. Because this is really Othello, in my opinion. I don't know if Jonathan ever even performed Othello before, but this is literally the story of Othello. Dead ass, except she wasn't the one that was cheating. he was the one, that was cheating.
You
And
know,
he ended up, not having a happy ending.
right.
Othello. Othello didn't get a happy ending. I mean, Desdemona died, but in this case scenario, Desdemona lives and Othello dies by himself. But so, like I said, I know I said a lot, but what you got to say, bro?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and that's one of the main talking points when we did the pre podcast interview when we talked about how this was being announced in the news. I knew this was going to happen, and one of the things I said was, I don't know if he's guilty, I don't know if he's innocent, but what I do know is his career is over, and it is. And the sad part about it is I can view myself in his shoes. You work this long, and let's keep in mind too, he has children. Like this dude is not just a single man living life. He
He
has
has
children.
kids?
Yeah, he has kids.
Oh shit.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, he
wow.
has. I think like 2 kids.
Wow.
Um, so this is not just going to impact them. This is going to impact his kids, and this is something I've talked about. I know the last, I believe it was the last quick take we talked about. We was talking about relationships. Um, and I said, when I get to that level, I'm not going to be chasing women. I know a lot of people get to that point and they get the access of women, and the first thing they do is they want to try it. But this is what happens, especially when you're a black man. Don't get me wrong. I love women. I do. But it takes one mistake. And I'm sure Jonathan Majors did not see the mistake coming. It takes one mistake, one allegation to ruin you, especially as a black man. And this is the part, unfortunately, like you said, it's true. Men aren't afforded, let alone black men are afforded protection when it comes to our American justice system. Like whether it's child support, whether it's child custody, whether it's domestic violence, you don't get that. You don't get that. Look at Chris Brown. The man was, convicted when he was like what 19 years old. This
Yeah.
man in his 30s now, and
Mm.
people still call him a domestic abuser.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing, and I've talked about Christian Rock and Blueface. I see people talking about, I wish I had a partner like that. Why?
Cap.
Why do you want that? I mean, if you're not pursuing a public, uh, career entertainment, then if you want to live that life, go ahead. But when you want to be an actor, a musician, you could get away with it. That's part of the image you can put on. But for an actor, you got to be aware of every choice you make, especially when your public figure becomes under scrutinized. And truth be told, I saw this coming. You know why? When the trial first started, I saw Forrest post an article. Marvel needs to recast Kang immediately. Get Jonathan Majors out of there. That was the first headline. What? Nothing came out. There was no slander yet. They immediately jumped on. They need to recast him. And you know when Forbes posts an article about you in that way, it's a wrap. And I
Yeah.
feel bad for him because even though he has made decent money, he's not Will Smith. He don't have the bank account of Denzel Washington. That money's going to dry up soon, and I don't know how he's going to be able to bounce back from that. I mean, luckily he has Megan Good, but even then, he lives in New York City. We all know how expensive it is.
Mad
Um,
expensive.
Money's going to dry up for him. Unfortunately, and I hate to,
Depending on what his lifestyle is.
yeah, depend on this, like, but with kids too, yeah, it's a wrap. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me, I've seen the pay structure of Marvel. Don't get me wrong, the money is good, but you don't get that. I know, like Chris Hemsworth and even Tom Holland, the first movies they did with Marvel, they made less than 1 million. So
I mean, that's how it always is. Like Robert Downey Jr. only made like what, like either like 250,000, either between 250 and like a half a million
right, and then
for,
that's not
for
to
Iron
squeeze
Man.
that. And I'm sure he made a good chunk of change from Creed, but that money dries up quick. And truth be told, I really hope maybe after 2024, when people kind of let it fade away, because it wasn't like he was convicted of child molestation. Yeah, in the next couple months until his sentence, and people going to be talking about it. I really hope that he can at least get some type of role after this whole thing dies down. But truth be told, like you said, when you're a black man, you get accused of this, it's a wrap. And this is why I tell people: be careful with the relationships you choose to seek in, especially when you're a public figure. You think it's good and dandy, but we live in an age now. You get it if someone comes out and accuse you of sexual assault, domestic violence, your career is over. And it's a hard lesson that a lot of people unfortunately have to learn. And I'm not saying John Majors needed to learn that, but I watched
He
that
kind of
video.
did though. He kind of
He
did though.
he did, I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing when I saw that video, those videos of him running down the street. But I wasn't laughing because I was laughing at him. I was laughing at the fact that the fact that this man had to book it down New York City streets, dodging cars, and this girl stood and wouldn't let up on this man. I'm truly baffled how the jury watched that video and still convicted this man. But again, like you said, when you're a black man, and Jonathan Major's not a small black man either, and that's probably the reason. They probably saw his Creed movies, they probably saw his physique, and they look at him and a little skinny white girl, and automatically, when you're a big black man, you're guilty. So,
Yeah.
I want to ask you something. Even it's kind of related, but how do you feel that people say Megan Good is doing herself a disservice for being with him? How do you feel about that?
I mean, the reason why people are saying that is because she's involving herself with a guy like in basically like the messiest part of his life. And it basically says something. I'm not saying that I feel this way, but I'm saying people feel this way. It says something about her by choosing to be with a guy who is being accused of domestic violence and assault and a whole bunch of messy shit. Because it's like who you choose as your romantic partner is a reflection of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I still think Megan Good. I don't know her, but she seems like a nice person. I don't judge her for that. In fact, I judge Jonathan Majors for not getting with her sooner, because it's not like you ain't been famous. You've been famous. So if she was messing with you now, she was probably messing with you when she first saw you in whatever movie it was. So Megan Good was always on the table. Now, how soon or when that happened,
yeah,
I'm not sure. But because Megan Good is choosing to stand with a black man, in my opinion, she actually has my respect, because any other chick will just be like, oh, bye. This is usually when they leave you. When you get with the better types of chicks, and then when you're not on, and maybe they might break up down the line, I don't know. But as soon as you hit a rough patch, they bounce. Every time I've seen Jonathan Majors in court, Megan Good has been right there with him. That's more than what I could say for a lot of chicks that are in relationships right now. They don't support guys like that. They're not ride or dies and shit where, all right, regardless, no matter what, I got your back. I will be there for you. You know what I'm saying? So I assume that this is a very hard period in his life, but I know her being there and having her support makes that shit like 10% better. You know what I'm saying? It might be 10% extra relief. You know what I'm saying? I want that. Every guy would want a chick that will stand by him, guilty or innocent. Now, again, they may break up down the line. I hope not. Hopefully she'll stand by this dude, and what they got is actually something real, because, I mean, yeah, if she could just break up with him, her quality of life is going to be the same. It's not like she's a gold digger. Megan Good has been Megan Good since she was a little kid. Yeah. So it's not like she's in it for the money. At least I don't think so, because, again, she's a successful actress in her own right. She works. So, so what she has to gain from being with him, in my opinion, there has to be something there. But I'm not one of those people that is going to pass judgment on her. That's commendable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I asked that because I see a lot of people calling her a fool, and there are some people who say they appreciate her standing. I was just curious because I don't, at first I was like, why would you want to be? This is purely from a public standpoint, a public, figure standpoint. Why put yourself in the middle of something that it's not really favorable for Jonathan Majors? And truth be told, I'm glad she's with him, because she could be the reason why he's standing strong, that he hasn't broken down. And like I said, he has kids, and sometimes, yeah, you might have kids, but sometimes it's nice to have an adult compassion there for you. So shout out to her for sticking around. I know people gonna call her a fool and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, these people are raggedy. All right, like, what type of relationships do these people have in life? Those are probably the types of people or types of women probably who talking shit. They're the ones that'll just jump ship and leave you the minute you don't have as much money or you get into something. Those are the types of chicks that don't have anything. So I'm pretty sure those types of girls don't have men in their lives. And if they do, they probably don't have the best relationships. And even then, who are you to judge? Because like you said, we as men, we need that. We need that. Yes, you could be a strong black man physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that. But in times like that, you need women. We need them. We need them. Black men, we need black women. And she's setting an example of a black woman that is standing by a black man through thick and freaking thin. We need that shit. I envy that. There's stuff that I'm going through in life right now. Yeah, of course, I wish I had some chick, saying that will support me, mentally and emotionally. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have it, you just got to carry on until you find that. Unfortunately, she got to him after, Grace freaking Jabari, dingy, raggedy looking white girl.
Yep.
So what? I don't know. I just want to know what was he thinking? But like I said, we all make mistakes in life. We all have done and said things that, we shouldn't have in the moment. But you know what? That's just life. That's just what it is. And this is just unfortunately going to be one of those things where he has to learn from, his mistakes. Some people have to learn things the hard way because their whole relationship anyway, based on the context that was used, as evidence in the trial, their relationship was kind of leading up to that anyway. Because from what I've read and heard, they got into something physical before that. And I guess he hit her head or she hit her head, amidst the physical altercation that they had. And then he was telling her, yeah, don't go to the hospital because I'm an important person. And, if you do that, then I'm going to lose everything. Basically, that's what she was saying. He was like, if you do go, you got to lie type shit. And he's like, I don't think you're going to protect the relationship. That's what I said. So this is a guy that he has to learn. I don't know how much relationship experience that he's had. Yeah, he might have, there's a lot of people who have, kids, but how many children you have is not a reflection of how wise you are. How much experience you actually have. Some people will just get in a relationship, have kids, break up, and then, now they're stuck, with some kids. Right. And clearly, based off of how he was dealing with her and speaking to her, it just shows me this nigga has a lot to learn. Age is just a number. So he's 34, but I have more wisdom when it comes to women than he does. Because he has to understand, if some chick is driving you crazy or you're finding yourself risking your livelihood for her, it's just better to be by yourself. Yep. You're Jonathan Majors. You were in Harder They Fall. You were in Creed 3. You had Lovecraft Country. I never seen it, but I heard it was a good ass show. Come on, man. You can literally find 10 Grace Jabaris that are better looking than her. So I'm like, I don't have to put up with this. Literally, just ghost your ass. You're gone. You're gone. If you even strike me as a type of chick with a temper, or if you even look like the vindictive type, I'm not dealing with you. I'd rather be by myself until further notice. I seen some shit. It was like on Instagram. It was like, oh, how this generation is so quick to cut people off and how, you're never going to find, the perfect person or some shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I might can't find the perfect person, but, I'll be better off waiting until I find somebody who's a better fit. I don't have to deal with somebody and it's just constantly chronic problems and uncomfortable. There are billions of women out here. It's not that serious. And when you look at, I could understand, if something like this was going on with Megan Good. Megan Good is a freaking 9 out of 10. She's a 9 out of 10. I honestly, I feel bad not even considering her a 10 because Megan Good aesthetically has no flaws. I don't know her as a person, but based off of looks aside, this is damn near, I could say, yeah, like the perfect black woman, period. And if I'm in a relationship with Megan Good, she getting on my nerves, but you see how good she look? Yeah, I'll probably convince myself to put up with, some of her nonsense because you see how good she looks? All right, fine.
But that's the downfall.
Yeah, we know, but listen. Here's the thing. Grace Jabari literally looks like a freaking cylinder jar of mayonnaise. She is not a good-looking woman, period. And then as I've looked through the evidence myself, she is an alcoholic. She's emotionally volatile. Okay? She has no sense of physical, mental, emotional boundaries whatsoever, because this is a chick that will snatch her phone whenever she thinks it's okay to snatch her phone whenever she feels like it. You know what I'm saying? Freaking, she's constantly in the clubs, going to parties and all of that. She's freaking, vindictive, no boundaries, because she records your conversations as you're having them with her. So you can't even have a regular conversation with this chick because little do you know, she's got you on record just in case things go left with you. I bet you Jonathan didn't even know she was recording him. I'm pretty sure he didn't even know that shit. So what does that say about her? And then not only that, but she's ugly. She's not an attractive woman. Period. Even for a white girl, I've seen attractive white girls, and she's not it. So if you are really a 6 and below, why would I even put up with you making anything hard for me whatsoever? So, Jonathan Majors, I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is I don't think that he is going to go to jail. I don't think so. And in these cases anyway, or from what I heard during this news segment that I watched the other day, they're saying that it's kind of strange that this trial even went that far. And the reason why I probably even went that far is because it's a high profile case. So of course they're going to milk it because this is a celebrity involved, and they're going to do this because this thing blowing up the way that it did, people benefited from that. News outlets, YouTube channels, all of this shit. People were benefiting from this whole thing happening. So they did what they could to drag it along. So what's going to happen is probably going to probation, maybe community service, something like that. Because again, Jonathan Majors has money. So when you see these people getting into these situations, they usually figure out a way legally to avert having to do any jail time. And he wasn't even found guilty on all 4 charges. He was only found guilty on 2 of them. And this was his first offense, as far as I heard. So he's never even really been in any trouble before. But the fact, no, I'll let you go. But even though he is not serving a jail sentence, he is serving a lifetime sentence in terms of public opinion. He is serving a lifetime sentence of not having access to the opportunities that he was going to have access to and that he had access to. So what he gets out of this is what? Megan Good, I guess. And then, the ability to live to tell the story, I guess. But yeah, what were you going to say, bro?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a wake-up call, for men, especially black men. But when you choose partners who do this type of thing, I know a lot of people like and actually that's the point I wanted to touch on. You said Megan Good is 9 out of 10. She's pretty. Jabari's not even that good looking. And it's funny. I was listening to a podcast, this girl, black woman, was saying that's be the biggest downfall for a lot of men. Why? Because they put up with this nonsense. And look what happens. You leave with egg on your face and embarrassment for the rest of your life. And the fact that even though Jonathan wasn't convicted of the most serious charges, the moment he was found guilty is a wrap. He could have been found guilty for trespassing. It's a wrap because he's a black man, and people was out to get him even before the trial started. It was a wrap. People was trying to bury this man before anything even came out. So this is a wake up call, really. And this is why, when we talk and I say I don't say certain things or I don't speak my full opinion, this is the stuff. Why? Because the repercussions of it, being black men, you can speak your truth, and somebody's gonna come along and say something or do something for you against you, and you're found guilty for what? Truth be told, he has done nothing different than a lot of other men. But the problem is he's a celebrity, he's a black man, and he's going against a woman. And I'm not here to shame women, but truth be told, like I said, this judicial system is not set up to help men whatsoever. And truth be told, people need to realize when you get in these type of relationships, even if you find them cute and funny, the moment things start going left, get out. Don't wait 3 years. Don't wait for the next instant. No. The moment you see something, a red flag, get out, because it's not worth like me. You've been doing this acting thing for so long, right? Imagine we get to Jonathan Majors level. I'm not gonna let nothing stop me from enjoying that success. All the hard work and fails we endured to get to that point. I'm not gonna let nobody screw it up for me. And truth be, unfortunately, people get in these relationships and they put up with this stuff. And look what happened to Jonathan Majors. And he didn't deserve it, but he's found guilty. That's all people need to hear. Guilty. And I feel bad for the man. I do.
Yeah, I do, because I have respect for my fellow black man, especially somebody like him. Like you said, like we can only fathom what it's like to reach the pinnacle of success as an actor. And again, it's like you spend years and years and years pouring into your work, your craft as an actor to finally get to that point. It's like, bro, it's like I lived my whole life to get to where he's gotten to. So, and you're right. It's like there's nothing that I'm gonna do that's gonna risk, you know, my ability to have a livelihood as an actor at that level. So you're not gonna see me do I Am Legend 3 with Will Smith, Black Panther 3, Black Panther 4, whatever, and then I get in a relationship with some girl and then she just wants to tear my life apart. Hell no. And with experience, you'll see those red flags early. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, there's just a major takeaway from this, and I don't want what happened to Jonathan Majors happen in vain. So it's like for anybody listening to this, because that's the whole purpose of quick takes anyway, is for people to have a takeaway for the things that happen rather than just talking about, shit for the sake of talking about it, or for talking's sake. Watch yourself, watch what you do, treat women the way that you want to be treated, which is with respect. So that way, if y'all go your separate ways, you don't have to worry about somebody trying to come for you, in the court of law and shit like that with allegations, accusations, and all that types of shit. Life is too short. There's too many girls out here. I know it gets lonely sometimes. I be lonely too sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm not sacrificing my freedom, my good reputation over another woman at the end of the day. And any closing thoughts for you, bro?
Yeah, nah, 100%. I hope if anybody made it this far and still listening, really, my takeaway is this: if you're in toxic relationships and you enjoy that, really take a look at what you're doing, not only to yourself, but the other person. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people make the mistake of ignoring red flags, staying too long, and putting their good name, their careers, and reputations on the line for this. Get out. Like Demetrius said, there's a lot more people in this world. You're not tied to that one person. Like I said, you work, you put in all of these hours, blood, sweat, and tears, sleepless nights, to get to a certain point. You got to elevate your mindset, elevate your circle. I remember I heard something before. You are the company that you keep. And unfortunately, if you like to keep company like Jabari, who, you know, very possessive and, all that type of things, just know what comes with that. If you like that type of girl, if you like that type of lifestyle, just know what comes with that. And, don't be a victim and don't fall into the same trap, unfortunately, that Jonathan Majors did. And it's unfortunate we have to have this conversation. The fact that even though Jonathan Majors didn't do that much wrong, he's still guilty. And like I said, for men in our society, we don't have the same protections that women do. We don't get the same respect. We don't get the same due diligence. You're guilty to proven innocent. And shout out to Jonathan Majors.
Ew.
I hope he's able to bounce back soon, and and he's able to get on some type of success track again. But if regardless of him, people make better choices, be wiser, and don't let one mistake cost you your life.
Yeah, she's just like a knockoff Uma Thurman, bro. Like I just googled her real quick just to see what
Yes.
she looks like, and she's just so damn raggedy. Like she's just and again,
What's
black
what's
men
her
like,
name?
huh?
Grace.
Grace Jabari, that's her name. Grace Jabari, and she legit looks like again a knockoff freaking Uma Thurman. Like I see she was trying to go for the Uma Thurman look, and it just don't be hitting, bro. Like it's just giving like sickly, like recovering but constantly relapsing drug addict. That's what she looks like to me. And he's better off with Megan Good, and hopefully that works out. And as always, what are your thoughts? Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.